we talk about maintenance on our machines, I'm going to assume this is a brand new machine for you. I want to make sure that that we cover these in the hours that are recommended by HydroMaster, or in most cases by the manufacturer of the subcomponent parts that we're using. In the case of the Vanguard engine, the Briggs & Stratton Vanguard engine, they require an oil change in the first 8 hours of operation. So right away, we're going to run it for the 8 hours, whether you do it in a day or whatever it takes, and we're going to change the oil and we're going to change the filter at the same time. The idea is starts to break the motor in, or the engine in, but it also, if there's any shavings inside during the manufacturing process, we're trying to get that stuff out of the system right away. So within that first 8 hours, we want to do our first major oil change. So as we move along in the life of this machine, what we're going to do is we're going to keep in mind, going back to our hour meter on the front panel, that the machine needs to be, the oil needs to be changed every 50 hours. That's what's recommended. We're going to stick with that. Every time the oil is changed, we want to make sure we change the oil filter. This is a very intense, a very high use engine. It's running at maximum pretty much all the time. Although our requirements that we set up give it a little bit of a reserve, it's still running hot all the time. So changing the oil on the machine is very critical. We have an air filter. Again, I'm going to go back to the oil. It's a 5W30 synthetic oil that we use here at HydroMaster. When it comes to you, that's what it's going to have in it. We recommend that you continue to use that. Up here on the top, we have our air filter again. We want to look at that. We want to maintain that. So every chance you get that is convenient, as far as, I would say every month you want to look at your air filter, clean it out as needed. We're going to check hoses, we're going to check wires, we're going to check fittings, nuts and bolts on a regular basis. I recommend doing it if you get a chance. Stick your head in every day. If you start to hear something loose, make darn sure you get in there and tighten up any loose nuts. There's some vibration that goes on certainly with this machine, and checking those on a regular basis is the best thing. We have a convenient drain hose here so that you can drain the oil. Air filter up here, we want to check on a monthly basis. We want to clean it on a 3-month basis and just replace it once a year. So go ahead, and it's easy to get to. Go ahead and keep that. The machine needs to breathe. We also want to make sure that we have our spark plugs, make sure the wires are not cracked. We want to change the spark plugs every 1,000 hours or as needed. Let's go back to our pump. Let's look at the oil change intervals that we have on that. With our high pressure pump, and again we have our fill cap in back, which was identified earlier. We have our sight glass that you can see. Check that sight glass on a daily basis. We do not want this to run low on oil, as any of our components, so keep track of the oil level. But this one is going to be looked at every 500 hours. We want the oil changed in the high pressure pump. This is a general pump, and it's recommended that a GP 100 oil be used. That's what's recommended by the manufacturer. We're going to stick with that. So again, every 500 hours you want to change that oil.